What's up folks, Justin Phillip here from Dog Times Productions and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I encourage you to stick around. This is for low budget indie filmmakers and I just share tips and tricks that I learned on my own filmmaking journey along the way. Today we are going to be looking at a project that I worked on back in January of this year. Even though it's only been about 6 months, still I'm constantly educating myself, constantly researching, constantly attending workshops and things of that nature, and constantly shooting things. If you're like me, you learn by doing. I think it's always fun to look back at these other projects and see what I may do differently if I was given that project today.
Quiet on set!
Quiet set!
Oh shit, I need 2 batteries.
Can we go though?
Yeah, we're good on this.
Okay, alright, and so hands on hips. Take it, and then right after he takes a big, so on action you guys are gonna start getting into bed. So sit up, both of you sit up. Yeah. Okay, so on action you're gonna start going into bed, and then after he
Hold. Can I have my son a little bit over? Just scoot your whole body a little bit over. There we go. Yep. His elbow was just.
Oh, okay. Do you want him to come?
Yeah, a little bit there. A little. Take a right. Little right. Edward. Eddie. Split the difference on your way back. There you go. About right there. There we go.
Perfect,
That's good.
Perfect. All right. So on action, you guys are getting in bed, and then after he takes his big sigh, then you start your first line. Okay? And action. This is for a project, I've talked about it before, it's called LOL Parenting. This is a Facebook-only web series, pretty good-sized audience. I'll put a link down in the description below. I do want to give a little bit of background about this project. This is ultra low budget. There's no like grip and electric trucks out in the yard, nothing like that. The budget is only for myself and all of my own personal lighting and camera equipment, and it's just whatever, you know, I can bring on the day. When we shoot these projects with LOL Parenting, we're usually doing 2 full episodes per day. So one day, and we're shooting 2 full episodes, and these episodes are anywhere from 6 to 10 pages long, and they're full narrative work. So just to give you an idea of how fast we are running and gunning this thing, I used to always shoot LOL Parenting on double cam, so I shot with the GH5 and the GH4. So this was all one location. I lit it in a fashion to where we could move around fairly quickly because it is a full, almost 360 range everywhere we needed to look. For a long time, I've been shooting with a micro four thirds sensor. My mind has always said we need to get as much light on that sensor as possible. So the downside is that now looking back and taking some feedback, there seems to be an issue with me overlighting things. And I kind of want to blame that on me wanting to overcompensate for the micro four thirds sensor, but it's also just probably a rookie mistake. I would say too much light here for this opening shot. However, one positive thing that I like about it is that it's not front lit completely, you know, which is nice, you know. That is something that I think I like. If you notice here on the boy's face, you know, the boy and the girl obviously are what we're focused on, what we're paying attention to. She's blurry in this particular screen grab because in the video she's running around and twirling around, so that's why, you know, I just happen to screen grab it when she's a little blurry. But they are the main focus here, and you'll notice like this side, we are shooting into the shadow side, which is generally what you want to do. And you'll notice here, there is some light coming from over here. That was, I believe that was provided by a 1x LED bicolor panel that was set to tungsten, because this was, you know, this particular episode takes place at nighttime. Obviously it's interior, bedroom, nighttime, so the 1K is back over here. See, you can see some light coming from here. Actually, this is all 1K, all this light coming down from up above. Basically, way over here so around 7 o'clock to the rear of camera is the 1K pointed up at the ceiling and just blasting that, you know, 1,000 watts of tungsten light all over the room. Definitely just flood mode, just pfft. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't really utilizing negative fill back in those days, so that is kind of a bummer. But that's what's providing all this light coming from over here. I do like the edge on the boy's face right here. Like, I do like, you know, he's getting some slight separation from the background. However, I would venture to say that maybe the color pumping out of this 1x up here, you know, this light that's pumping over here
is probably a little too strong. It probably need to be brought down a little bit, because obviously you notice this is a little hot. This level here on the carpet is a little hot. Back here is definitely hot. Now this is another crappy thing. So basically back here in this hallway, you can see in the reflection of the closet door, this is the door to the bedroom. And both the parents come in through here, so they needed to be lit coming in, and it was so dark in that hallway back there that we cracked open the door, and on the top of the door right here we put one of my little Tweeny, which is a Lowell baby mini Fresnel tungsten light, a 250 watt baby Fresnel, and we just crab clamped that to the door and just shot that, bounced that off the ceiling of the little mini hallway there. But however, that level should have been, I should have diffused that down. I mean, you can see right here where it's spiking right here. You can see it spiking right there. But also it's just all too flat. You know, the background is much too flat for the heavy contrast happening to my boy in the front here. So that's a downside. It's almost too back flat, I guess you would call it. And there's not a whole lot of ratio going on, other than the ratio that's on the boy's face. The boy's face has a good ratio, actually. If you look, there's a light. You go light here when he's popping away from the background on the front part of his nose, and then the back here he's getting dark. But we should have had a little bit more of a kicker light hitting him back here on the back side of his head, because it all goes flat after that. Okay, so now this is like kind of the television's POV, because he's playing video games. His little sister is running around in the background. Now, if you look at this shot, now you can see it's a little too hot. You know, that 1K light is a little hot back here. Just this little section right here should have been brought down. The level there should have been, it should have been flagged off of the wall, because it is kind of hitting him an okay hair light right here. It's hitting him okay. But again, he has no contrast on his face, maybe a little tiny bit, but not enough for me. And a lot of that is probably, that one by that's up over here that we saw on the reverse wide there. That should have just been brought down. The level should have been brought down, so he would have had a little bit better contrast on this side of his face. Also, for this shot, what I wanted to do was a gag. Like, I wanted to do a TV gag. Was able to pull it off in a more recent little short film passion project that I shot. But on this, we just didn't have the time. It was on our smart TV, and we just pulled up YouTube and just found an interesting kind of low-paced strobing video, and just let that play. And it has lots of cool different colors. We had to scroll through quite a different little YouTube videos till we found the right one that worked for our particular situation. But once we did find it, it's just really nice, subtle. It looks like someone's actually watching TV. And I wanted that gag here for this, but for sake of time, we just didn't have enough time to execute that. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull off a lighting gag for this particular episode, which is a bummer. Now, here's interesting. Here's where the light isn't really matching from when I was in front, doing the TV POV, and now we're doing the reverse, which is more like, the mom walks in and they all turn around and they look up at the mom. But you'll notice the light doesn't quite match if we look back at when he's at the TV. It's just, something's off here, because now the level is really low on this side, which something is telling me that one by LED got moved, or something happened between this shot and the TV POV when the little boy's playing the video games. Something's not matching up here. Obviously, we still have plenty of light from, back here by the bed. That's all being pumped by the 1K. It's almost too hot back there. It should be brought down a little bit, and should have been maneuvered a little bit, and more to kind of highlight the boy's face. Because you notice the boy's face is completely way under the dad's face. The dad's face is pretty good. It would have been nice if I could have had the level on the dad's face be the same that's on the boy. You see, the boy is he's pretty well under. We should have brought that 1K around a little bit, just a tad, flagged it off the bed so it's not, so hot on the bed back there, and just brought a little bit more level on the boy's face. And just by moving it around, we could have got a nice contrast ratio, light-dark ratio on the boy's face. The dad, he's I feel like this scene was lit just for the dad, which is not a good thing. It should have been lit as, you know, more of thinking about the previous shot, you know, thinking of that reverse when we were on the other side shooting up in front. That's one of the downsides. That's kind of like a rookie mistake, you know, like when you're shooting out of order, it's hard to remember what the lighting setup was, you know, setup, especially when you're shooting out of order and it's very run and gun. So that's a downside. You know, that's a note to myself that I need to pay special close attention when shooting out of order like that to make sure that all of my shots match up, because this just doesn't match the reverse when the camera was the television POV. Meaning you can tell that a light was just brought around to light the dad, and we kind of forgot about our little boy back here because he's just way under. The bed's too hot, you know, but now, you know, these are the things you notice, you know, going in, you know, if I was, you know, if I was to walk into this setup today, 6 months later, these are things that I would notice right off the bat, you know, just looking at the monitor saying, no, the bed's too hot, the boy doesn't have enough light, he doesn't, you know, the dad needs a little bit better of a contrast ratio on his face. The girl is okay. I can live with the levels on the girl's face. She does have a pretty good ratio there. We have behind the scenes of this, and so here's camera, right? And completely next, camera left is the 1K bouncing up at the ceiling, and then camera right is my Kino Diva 2 bank with the full CTO bouncing off the ceiling. So this is just tons and tons of light pumping up, splashing off of the ceiling. I guess we just got lucky that, you know, it's hitting, but it is a little hot. It's hot here because of the light, you know, it's just because, you know, it would have been a quick, simple fix. Just put the, you know, the 1K, if you see my video on the 1K, it has big, huge barn doors. Just pop up the barn door that's there on camera left, you know, far, you know, the one against this wall. Just shape those barn doors a little bit so it's not putting so much level back here on our back wall above the boys' bed. The girls' bed is this one over here where they're playing. There's just, yeah, there is interesting contrast ratio here. This kind of does match what we were just looking at when the kids turn around and, you know, when the dad's sitting with them and all three of them turn to look. I mean, it does match because there is still that big light source over there. The level right here, you know, is still pretty dark, matches like where that little girl was standing when all three of them turn to look at mom when she comes in. So the levels are matching to some degree, but overall I'm just not completely satisfied with the overall look, because to me, looking back on this now, there's just not enough light to dark contrast ratio. I guess the motivation was, for all we know, there is a huge light above. There's one big bedroom light and it's just on. I think that was the motivation for this light. However, I think there's an elegant way to keep the light motivated, but at the same time making it look beautiful, right? That's the key, right? That's an ongoing battle for me. This is coming up on something that I actually did a lighting test for like a week or so before this shoot. I did a test here in the home office studio with my mannequin friend, and I had the idea when I read the script. Now, cool thing working with these guys over at LOL Parenting is that as my role is director of photography, and so they kind of know my history, how long I've been acting, and they know my history with my master's degree, and with, I have some solid directing credits. So they're very open to any ideas that I have when I read the script or when I'm watching the actors. So I had this vision when I was reading the script, like, hey, he's having this freak out moment with the kids right before he's like getting exhausted by the kids, because he's telling them, go to bed, and they're running around not going to bed. A few shots before that, he's having fun with them and playing a lightsaber sword battle with the boy, right? And then the kids freak out and they're too sugar high and they're running around and he's freaking out. And he's having this moment where he's standing here, and if you see the video, there's almost like a slow-mo moment almost where they're running around him and he's just there taking it all in. He has this kind of what I call the Darth Vader moment, where he looks down at the lightsaber, sees it laying there when they're running around him. He picks it up, and then when he picks it up, we did this light gag to where he kind of turns into, the dark Jedi for a brief moment. so that was something that I wanted to kind of nail, and I was glad that once I started talking with the director about it, he was on board with it. And the day was going on so long, like this was a 13-hour day, and I thought, okay, we can just scratch that. It was my idea. It doesn't matter if we do it or not. But Murad, the director, was so cool that he was like, no, let's do it. Let's do it. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. So it's always fun when you're working with people that are, they're into your input and into your ideas, and that's very motivating. Here we have the beginning of that. So here you see him standing here, and I'm actually okay with this lighting. Now the little boy, he's blurry right here because, like I said, they're running around him, and these are just screen grabs. I will say, again, the level on this reflection of this hallway door mirror is a little too hot for me. That Lowell Tweeny should have been brought down. We should have dimmed that down, diffused it, something. I'm okay with the level coming out of this corner here with this 1x or whatever, maybe that's the 2x Kino, because I kind of like the ratio on his face. If you look at his, he has this interesting light here coming down the side of his head. Maybe it's a little too hot on his cheek. Maybe we could have brought that down a tad, but I'm kind of digging the ratio. I maybe would have just swung the fixture more this way, because right now it's like, it's up behind him, and maybe I would have just brought it more, just a tad more this way, almost Rembrandt, just to get more of a contrast here, because it falls off almost too soon. And then also maybe brought it down just a tad because it's a little too hot on his cheek there. But if you notice, the light is nice. If you look here at the separation of his shoulder and his arm down here, it's separating him nice from the background. However, if you look right here, there is something going on right there. I'm not sure what that light source is. That's interesting to me. That's no bueno. I would have tried to figure out what the heck that was. Here he is. He just picked it up. And when he bends down to pick it up, as you notice in the clip, the lights go out, right? So that was a little bit of a gag. And as he's bringing it up, you'll see, as you saw what happened when he clicks it on, and then he's hit with the light. Basically how we did this, I left this LED light panel here because we needed some kind of source. So I kind of left that on, so it'd be a little bit of a backlight. But I put the white balance in camera to something like 2700 to give it like steel blue. And I actually stole that from Shane Hurlbut. But yeah, so I put the white balance really, really low. And then he brought it up. And what this little LED panel is giving a cool effect on it's just lighting that lightsaber and his face quite well. I kind of like the light to dark to light ratio on him. That baby Kino is still in that hallway as well. And that's what's giving us the little bit of light over here on this side. So I maybe would have liked to have angled it a little better so it was more like separating, this upper part of his head backside right here, pulling that part away from the back, because he almost falls away too much into the back. Part of me is like, yeah, I love the shot. And then another part of me is like, one thing that I would have done, so as you notice in the BTS there, where Eddie, my camera assistant that day, I had him holding up it was just the Aputure Amaranth wrapped in a red gel, and he went up with the saber, but it's kind of in the wrong position. To me, like looking back on it now, I've always thought, I don't know if that light is coming from the right position. Because it's shooting up and across. You can tell where the source is coming from. I almost maybe, thinking back on it, maybe I should have put Eddie right down in front of the camera, and then it would have just been right on. It would have been coming up and boom, and hitting the guy, and it would have kind of made more sense, because to me it doesn't make sense that the light is slanted off in that direction. I don't know. That's a kind of a weird thing. Now here he is. He's back to normal. He's out of his daydream, and it's completely too flat. And a lot of that was because we were trying to get the gag in camera. My original thought was that it would be done in the edit, and then we should have maybe just gone with one of the lights, turning on both the Kino and the 1K, turning them both on. As you can tell, it just really became way too flat. And that probably wasn't ideal. I should have probably just turned on one of the lights. I like the framing of this, and this is pulled straight from the BTS. But this also is kind of front lit, but I try my best at top lighting it, so it passes, I guess. As long as like the levels here of the beds are brighter than him, and I like that. I wouldn't want him to be lit up in the background dark. I wouldn't want that. This is like the reverse of that shot, and as you can see, when he's popped out of his daydream, it was the only time that it was super front litty like that. And it was just me not paying attention at the time. I said, yeah, turn on both those lights, because Murad said, no, we should get it in, we should try to get it where he gets snaps out of it. We should get it in camera. And my first instinct was, yeah, turn on all the lights. And it's like, wow, it would never look like that ever again. So that's a downside. Again, that's continuity and just not paying attention and, just rushing myself. I tend to do that a lot. I tend to rush myself on set when I don't have to do that. I can learn to take the time and think these things out a little bit better. And again, being 6 months older, 6 months wiser, these are things now where I kind of don't rush myself as much anymore. And here you'll see, I kind of like the hair light right here that he's getting. I really like this shot. For whatever reason, I like this shot. Again, the damn level of that Tweeny back here, I don't like how hot this little section is. If this whole section was just brought down just a tad darker, then it would go dark, light, and then maybe his shadow side should have been brought down just a tad, or maybe this hotness here. I mean, I like what it's doing. He's got a nice separation off of that door back there, but it's a little almost too hot on his cheek right here, on the side of his face right here. I maybe would have just brought that down just a tad, and then that would have helped make this side. And I think I would have overall just kind of darkened everything just a tad. The levels over here on the door where the Tweeny is and the hallway would have been brought down. It is looking like this side of his face still needed to be brought down just a tad. And then I think this back here is a little too, maybe a stop or two too bright. Maybe I would have brought that down just a tad. And just, and I think maybe an easy fix to do that was to just flag it off. Flag off what's hitting this wall so it's more just hitting him. So there you have it. I hope you found this video beneficial. It's always good to, take a look back, dig things out of the old archive and see like, maybe we shouldn't have done it that way. But it's always good. Overall, it's nothing, I don't ever look at anything as a failure, Even, a lot of people may look at that and say, oh, that's crap. Well, that's fine. That's completely their opinion. Me, I just try to make everything a learning process. For me, it's an ongoing journey as, as a painter, as an actor, as whatever you are. I don't think you're ever truly a master of it. I mean, here's the thing, guys. I have a master in theater, which means, oh, I should be this amazing thespian actor and director. But it's just not what it is. Obviously I'm not, because I'm not a household name. And I'm okay with that. So all this stuff that we do, it's a constant journey, right? I mean, if you ever think that you're at the top of the mountain and you think that to yourself and you say, yeah, I'm the best at this, chances are that's when you're definitely not the best. You know what I mean? So it's always good just to be completely honest with yourself and be open to positive criticism. Now, there will be a lot of people out there that just love to hate, and that's always a bummer, and you gotta just find the right way to tackle that and digest that, and don't let those people rent space in your head, because they don't deserve it. People like that don't deserve space inside your brain. I wasn't super pumped to do this video. Last time I did it, some people just kind of tore me apart, and so, I'm kind of always hesitant to do things like this, but all in all, it is a learning process, so it's all good in the hood. If you're interested in any of my gear, check out the link below. Full virtual camera kit bag. Check out all of the stuff I use for YouTube videos, for paid gigs, just for all of my camera gear, lights, camera, action, audio, all the good stuff. As always, thank you for watching. Huge shout out and thank you to all of my loyal subscribers. You guys rock, man. You voted for this video, so it is what it is. But I did notice it was a close tie for people wondering about how to properly use a light meter, so that's probably gonna come up next. As always, thanks for watching, and for now, that's a wrap.